Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raven, and if you do enjoy my content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I am wearing my Harley Quinn shirt. I love her a lot. I'm actually gonna be here for Halloween this year, so it should be cool. Yeah, I know we can't do much about Halloween, but I'm still gonna dress up. I don't care. So today, what I want to talk about is a little bit different than what I usually talk about, my poetry. I want to talk about my mental health. So my diagnosis is major depression with psychotic features and generalized anxiety. And I've been, on and off going to tropical behavior. I do recommend it of whatever you need to do to get better, medicines, therapy, or what have you. You're not alone, and it's okay to ask for help and to not be okay. So I want to say I believe I had this like my whole life, but I really found out about it possibly in 2011. And I would say I was in denial about it the first couple of years because I graduated in 2011. I tried to go to college. I always had dyslexia, right? So I guess back, when I was 5 years old, they had tested me for dyslexia and stuff and whatever else they found. And I was trying to go to college. I went through this program. I believe it was called DARS. And I have nothing against this program whatsoever. It could be just my experience was not that great, I would say. But they were saying that they needed me to be tested again because the last files they had of me is when I was 5 years old. So I go to get tested. The first time I got tested, the psychiatrist or whatever you call them, he forgot my files. Like he didn't even know where they were. And it was weird because that day when he was like testing me, he had like, this tissue and he would sneeze in the tissue, put it back in his pocket. I was like, gross. Like, ugh. And so he ended up losing all my stuff because I think he had to get like laser eye surgery. I don't know what the hell. So I had to go back, I think, to McAllen again. But they did pay for it and they did buy me water burgers, so that was cool. So I remember going and of course they asked these questions. Oh, how do you feel about your dad? Why aren't you with your dad? And I just thought it was a ridiculous question. Like I don't want to talk about it. So I guess they use that against you. And then after all that, I remember the stupid lady was trying to tell me, well, can you compare a baby to a tree? And I don't know what, and I was like already getting frustrated, but I wasn't like angry, but I guess I could tell I was already frustrated. Like I wanted to leave, like let me out of here. In my head, I was saying. So I guess they jot that down, and then they sent the results to my counselor from DARS, and the psychiatrist said that he highly recommended that I see somebody for help. They put like a lot of stuff they put, it was true, but I just didn't think they knew that about me. That I had, depression, anxiety, I had trouble with body image and stuff like that, which that has been true throughout my life because I was like always like real chubby and real fat. So I would have those problems and I would see everybody else and I'd be like, well, how come I don't look like that girl? She's pretty and skinny and all that. So then the counselor turns to me. He goes, well, you shouldn't feel like that because, you have a lot going for you. Most of these people here don't have nothing going for them. And then he told me to go see Tropical, so I went to go see them, and then they said, yeah, I have major depression and anxiety. So I was like, oh, okay. And they were trying to help me and stuff, but I guess I really didn't want the help at the time. It's like, you have something, but you don't really want, the help. And when all that happened, I was still struggling, to try to make it without help and trying to go to school. I didn't do well at TSDC. I hated accounting. Math you can forget about. So I wanted to go to Southern Careers, and then my damn counselor at the time, he was like he didn't want to make decisions without me telling him, and also because they believed that if I did go to school, I wouldn't do well, that I would have an episode and I wouldn't make it, right? And one day I just got tired. I go, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna do this without your permission. So I tried. I only lasted there for like 2 weeks, so it wasn't for me, right? So then I decided not to be with that program because they're saying that they can help me with school or job, and I just didn't feel like I was getting support with them, so I just stopped. And it's like super crazy because when I was working at call centers, the first call center, they were just like, because I always needed in school, I always needed to have that color paper that you can see through, and that would help me a lot with reading. And I noticed at the call centers again, like I couldn't like focus on the notes or whatever. So I was asking for what I could do about it, and they're like, well, if you really have this and that, you have to get proof. Which that's always a word I dreaded. Like, why do I have to get proof? But there I go, calling that company dollars, and they're like making a big deal out of it. And I understand it's for my protection and whatnot. So yeah, they're like, well, it's because this information we have on you, it's private, and people can use it against you and whatnot. So they always made a big deal about giving me my files that I have not even seen these files, but whatever. So, and then even in the call center, I would like notice that just because my screen was like these different colors so I can focus, like a lot of people didn't like that. Or especially when the bank would come and you see, they're like, well, you cannot have that. I go, well, actually, I can't because it helps me on calls. So, yeah. I just hate that because I go, if someone has a disability and whatnot, don't make them feel bad about it. It's just like, ugh. So I think in the middle of my time on call centers, I was like on medication. I would try it, but I hated it, those medications, because I remember like one day I couldn't even feel anything. Like if I wanted to cry, I couldn't cry. It was like I started to feel no emotions, which did scare me. So I didn't want the medicine after that. So I stopped going, and it was been off on and off like that. And 2015, I had to go again because I had postpartum depression, which is like really the worst depression for me. And a lot of things just were going wrong at the time, and I needed extra help. So I did that, and then again, I gave up. And then I want to say maybe like 3 years ago, I had went to Tropical again. I was living in La Feria with my ex at the time, and I just feel like again I could not cope, and then I needed help again. So I did therapy for that time then, and then about like 2 months ago, not 2 months ago. I want to say like 4 or 5 months ago, I was just feeling lost and down again, and it's just like I don't even know what to do. And certain things that happened, everything seemed to be like rushing down on me, and I couldn't really cope. You know, the best friend that I had wasn't there, and I just felt like, who am I gonna go to? And we're okay. I mean, we do have a daughter together, so it's just fine in that part. But at that moment, I just needed my best friend there, and he wasn't there. So it just made me like what the hell am I doing? So now I'm on medication. I'm actually letting it work for me this time. I decided not to drink because I don't know how I'm going to react when I'm on that medication. And about 3 years ago, I had, well, I've always known this, but I had really, discovered that I do have psychosis, which is where the psychotic features come in. And it's mostly me seeing things that may or may not be there. Like, I don't really want to scare anybody, but I'm just gonna like say it. A lot of times it could be different things. A lot of times it could be dark shadows, dark spider web kind of things, or it could be deformed faces, even like the face of the devil. That's what I imagine in my brain when that happened. And clowns and weird other things, or like I see a chair and it has a little kid there, or like a baby. It's a lot of stuff, and sometimes it does get scary, but not like real bad, extreme scary. I guess because I'm so used to seeing those things, or sometimes I see like this blue light or whatever. My family thinks I may have a gift, but then the doctors think that it's part of the depression, the psychosis. So I don't know which one it is. So I'm gonna go with the psychosis for right now. But it does make my life a little difficult sometimes. Well, even now because I do space out a lot. Like you could be talking to me and like I hear you, but I'm not really there in the moment. I'm like somewhere else. So, but now people are recognizing it, and it's bad because it's like now they know that I'm not exactly normal. They know that I do this, and sometimes I could hear the things like, "Oh, you're getting sick again," or "You're acting like that again." It's not very helpful, not for me or anyone that struggles like this. And I wanted to let this out and be known because I don't want to be ashamed or embarrassed of what I have because everybody has it. Everybody has something to go through. And I want to let people out there know that it's okay if you're not quite normal or how they perceive the word normal. And that you're not alone and you can talk to me you know, or tell me your experience that you have with mental health because I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about trauma. I want to talk about other things that people just don't want to talk about and want to keep quiet about. I don't want to keep quiet. Like, I want to use my voice for good and possibly help others that may be struggling and dealing with things. Because there's times that I do go to mental breakdowns where I start crying and all these thoughts start racing, and it's scary. Like even at the stores, like the thrift store, I cannot go in there. Like I just start like panicking because all these people, and it's like, oh my god. Even at HEB, if I see too many people online, I go to the next aisle and then I forget what I'm gonna get and I don't even get it. It gets that bad, or if I'm in certain situations that I'll be triggered and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Or like the other incident that I had when I was like basically a messenger for my two friends, and I got overwhelmed because so many messages I was getting. Like, did you do this? Did you tell them this? And it was like so much. I'm like, ah. So I couldn't handle all that, and I do have certain triggers that I need to deal with and realize, and it makes life difficult. But I'm getting through it. I'm fighting it. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. And I do remember like even when I was drinking, sometimes, well, not sometimes, half the time it would trigger the depression. So maybe it's good that I'm not drinking, and I can like try to get better, not for myself, for my daughters, and be like somewhat a happy normal person. I do think being normal is overrated. Like how they said in Halloween time because that's my favorite movie too, and I love Harry Potter. I love him forever. I like Harley Quinn. I I just don't like to be judged by my mental illness because I feel as always see. I want them to remember that I'm still me, just a little different, and that's okay. So comment down below about the experience you have or anything that you would like. Thank you.